One day, your dog quietly walks over, stops right in front of you, and gently places their favorite toy at your feet. Without thinking, most people reach down, pick it up, and throw it. But what if that's not what your dog was asking for at all? What if, in that small moment, they weren't offering you a game? They were trying to tell you something they could never put into words. Because dogs don't choose their favorite toy by accident, and they certainly don't choose who they bring it to by accident. So before you take it from them, ask yourself one question. Why would your dog trust you with something they value so deeply? The answer may completely change the way you see this everyday behavior. To understand why your dog brings you their favorite toy, we first need to understand what that toy actually means to them. Because to your dog, it isn't always just a toy. Sometimes, it's something far more important. Number one, it's usually not about the game. If you ask 10 dog owners why their dog brings them a favorite toy, most of them will probably give the same answer. They want to play. And to be fair, sometimes that's exactly what's happening. If your dog runs toward you with a tennis ball, drops it at your feet, then bounces around with an excited wagging tail, they're probably inviting you to a game of fetch. But here's the fascinating part. That explanation doesn't fit every situation. Think about it. Have you ever noticed your dog bringing you a toy, only to lie down beside you, or carrying it over, then simply staring at you, without asking you to throw it? Some dogs will even place the toy gently in front of you, then sit quietly, watching your face instead of the toy. If all they wanted was a game, why wouldn't they immediately encourage you to throw it? Why do they sometimes seem perfectly happy just being close to you? That's because, in many of those moments, the toy isn't the message. It's simply the way your dog begins the conversation. And once you realize that, a behavior you've probably seen hundreds of times starts to look completely different. Because before we can understand why your dog brings you their favorite toy, we need to understand something even more important. What does that favorite toy actually mean to your dog? Because to them, it may represent far more than something to chase across the room. Transition to part 2. To understand why your dog chooses to share their favorite toy with you, we first need to step into your dog's world. Because what looks like an ordinary toy to us can carry a completely different meaning for them. Number 2, why their favorite toy matters so much. To us, it's just a toy, a tennis ball, a rope, or an old stuffed animal that's barely holding together. But to your dog, it can mean much more. Dogs don't become attached to toys because they're new or expensive. They become attached because of what those toys represent. Familiar sense, happy memories, moments they've shared with you. Animal behaviorists have found that many dogs develop strong attachments to familiar objects, much like a child becomes attached to a favorite blanket or teddy bear. Not because the object itself is special, but because it has become part of what makes them feel safe. That's why many dogs ignore brand new toys and keep choosing the same old one they've loved for years. So when your dog walks over carrying that toy, they're not just carrying an object, they're carrying something that's become part of their emotional world. Which raises an even bigger question. Why would they choose to share something so meaningful with you? Number 3, why they chose you. Out of everyone your dog knows, why did they bring their favorite toy to you? The answer begins with one simple word: trust. Dogs don't build trust through words. They build it through experience. Every walk, every meal, every game, every ordinary day you've spent together. Little by little, your dog learns one important thing. You're safe. Researchers have found that dogs form strong attachment bonds with the people they trust most. That's why they often return to the same person when they're excited, unsure, or simply looking for comfort. So when your dog walks over carrying the toy they value most, they may not just be asking you to throw it. They may be saying, "I trust you enough to share something important to me." But here's the fascinating part. Sometimes, your dog doesn't even want you to take the toy. They simply want you to notice it. Which raises another question. If they don't always want you to throw it, why bring it at all? Number 4, sometimes they just want you. Here's something most dog owners never notice. Sometimes, your dog walks over carrying their favorite toy and never lets go. At first, that seems confusing. If they wanted you to throw it, why keep holding on to it? Because sometimes, the toy isn't an invitation. It's an introduction. Animal behaviorists often describe this as a bid for social interaction. Your dog isn't necessarily asking for a game. They're asking for you. The eye contact, the smile, your attention. The toy simply helps start that moment. In fact, some dogs will stand quietly beside you, toy still in their mouth, perfectly content if you simply notice them. Because for many dogs, the real reward isn't what happens to the toy. It's what happens between the two of you. And once they feel that connection, only then do they decide whether they actually want to play. Number 5, the toy can calm them down. There's another reason your dog may carry their favorite toy, one that has nothing to do with playing. Imagine you've been away all day. The front door opens. Before you've even taken your shoes off, your dog comes racing toward you. Favorite toy clutched tightly in their mouth. Tail wagging so hard their whole body moves. They're so overwhelmed with happiness. They almost don't know what to do with themselves. That toy isn't replacing you. It's helping them hold together. Emotions that have suddenly become bigger than their little body can contain. Researchers studying canine behavior have found that many dogs rely on familiar behaviors and familiar objects when emotions become especially intense. For some dogs, that means carrying something they know and love, because holding a familiar toy can be comforting, whether the emotion is excitement or uncertainty. That's why some dogs do exactly the same thing before guests arrive, during a thunderstorm, or when they hear unfamiliar noises outside. The behavior looks almost identical, but the feeling behind it can be completely different, which is why the next thing you should pay attention to isn't the toy. It's your dog's body language, because that's where the real message begins. Number 6, what your dog is really hoping you'll do. So, the next time your dog walks over carrying their favorite toy, don't immediately focus on the toy. Focus on them. Look at their eyes, their tail, their posture. Are they bouncing with excitement, standing calmly beside you, or quietly waiting for you to notice them? Those little details tell you far more than the toy ever could. Sometimes, your dog really is asking you to play. And if that's the case, go enjoy the moment together. But other times, they may simply be asking for something much smaller. Your attention, your presence, a few quiet seconds of connection. Researchers have found that positive interactions with trusted humans help strengthen the bond between dogs and their owners over time. Sometimes, that bond grows during a walk, sometimes during a game, and sometimes it grows during a simple moment that lasts only a few seconds. A moment where your dog walks over, carrying something they love, just to be close to someone they trust. And perhaps that's the most beautiful part of all, because your dog isn't measuring your relationship by how many times you throw the toy. They're measuring it by how safe, how understood, and how connected they feel when they're with you. Transition to ending, which means the next time your dog quietly walks over with their favorite toy, you might realize they've been giving you something much more valuable than an invitation to play. The next time your dog walks toward you carrying that old, worn-out toy, don't just see a toy, see the trust behind it. Because in your dog's world, they may have just shared one of the most valuable things they own. If you want to understand your dog on a deeper level, subscribe to the Paw Decoder, where every week we uncover another secret your dog has been trying to tell you all along.